Hey everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for this devotional. We are in Acts chapter 11. I'm going to be reading verses 27 through 30. Here's what it says. Now in these days, prophets came down from Jerusalem to Antioch, and one of them named Agabus stood up and foretold by the Spirit that there would be a great famine over all the world, which took place in the days of Claudius. So the disciples determined, everyone according to his ability, to send relief to the brothers living in Judea, the region. And they did so, sending it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul. So a couple of interesting things happen in this text. First, a believer named Agabus, a man with a prophetic gift, foretells a worldwide famine, which did happen a little bit later underneath the reign of Emperor Claudius. In fact, his reign was marked by a long series of crop failures in various parts of the empire, in like Judea, Rome, Egypt, and Greece. In any event, his prediction did come true, and the believers in Antioch, before the event happened, began gathering collections for it from Christians across the area to give to the people of Judea. Eventually, when the famine hit, the collection was delivered to the elders in Jerusalem by Paul and Barnabas. Second, you should note the subtle transition in the focus on leadership from the church in Jerusalem to the church in Antioch. Over the coming chapters, this trend is going to continue. You see, in the early days, the Jerusalem church was always the epicenter of the focus, but now the addition of Greek-speaking non-Jews leads to this massive explosion of Gentile conversions. And these people bring a fresh new effort to the faith that's even more adventurous. And there are two reasons that I bring up these details. Okay, the first is that I believe Christians often disqualify themselves. We do. We assume that we're not good enough, prepared enough, or gifted enough. And I want you to know that this is simply not true. If you are called by God, then you're qualified by God to lead. You see, God calls and qualifies. So if He's called you, you are automatically qualified. I know that our enemy wants us to believe that we can't and we're not qualified, but take a look at Agabus. He certainly is new to the Christian faith and takes a risk with his spiritual gift. And his action stirs believers so much that they prepare in advance and over a few years a tremendous act of generosity, all because a young believer did not disqualify himself. The second reason I mention these details is that some Christians, I believe, wait too long to act because they think wrongly. They believe they need permission to act. Notice that Paul and Barnabas don't go back to Jerusalem to get permission to act. Now, to some degree, they might even conceal what they're doing only to later reveal it, and in the revelation of it to the church in Jerusalem, they become the recipients of an incredible gift and recipients of an incredible act of faith over many years. And the lesson is this: if you are called to act, then just act. Don't wait, because in godly action, God directs. If God calls you to do something, you should do it now, not sometimes later, like when you retire, for example. Hope that didn't touch a nerve or two. For in the act of following and the act of faith, God's going to teach you, He's going to train you, He's going to build partnerships for you, and He's going to reveal His glory. But a man who never acts never knows these things. So get out there today and act in faith, right? If God called you to do something, do it. And then occasionally look up and see what God has done. In fact, I want you today to tell me what God is calling you to do. Just write it in the comments below so that I can be praying for you and encourage you. And fellas, thanks for joining me for another devotional. I pray you'll share this with someone you know who you know needs to act today. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.